Everybody, we'll turn over here. Typically, Google does right 2 or 3 or 4 major core update every single year, and this recent one was just back in May of 2022. So hopefully you're not impacted. As always mentioned, if you're not doing anything shady, right, to manipulate Google's search engine results, you shouldn't be impacted though. I love it whenever Google does core algorithm update. It's mainly there to weed out those who are using shady practices. So May was a big core update, and then lately, around Father's Day, Google did update again, and this one was not announced publicly. So typically, right, core update, Google will announce these are major core update, but in between core updates, Google always do some minor updates, but this time it's pretty large update though. And it's a little bit hard to decipher what Google did then, right? Typically core update, Google will inform the public what it did to tweak its algorithm, right? But these minor updates, even though it might be big impact, you will not typically not know though. But of course, look at forums, look at signals, what happened, right? You might be able to decipher what happened. This is my advice. you typically you don't have to worry about these minor core updates. That's what we nerds need to know. But if you're not doing anything shady, you just don't have to worry, right? It always goes back to content is king, right? Right. That's how Google's search engine works. If they're looking for Las Vegas funeral homes, if you don't have any content on your website about Las Vegas funeral homes, how in the world would Google know you want to be ranked for that search term, right? So it really just goes back to these content. And typically what Google does is to weed out those shady practices. So shady practice could be you are writing a lot of scrape content where you're putting on your website, right? You're building a lot of fake links on your website. So just be a little bit careful, right? If a agency that you hired tells you they can get your website ranked in a very short amount of time, I will typically say anything less than 6 months is unreasonable, right? Typically to do proper organic search engine optimization, it does take more than 12 months though, right? So it's definitely a long-term investment. So just to be a little bit careful when people promise you they can get your website ranked highly on first page of Google in a short amount of time. Typically, they are using shady practices to artificially manipulate Google search engine results. And that means your website will be more subject to these core algorithm updates and minor core updates because Google is trying to weed out these constantly, right? There's hackers, there's constantly folks who are doing shady practices to artificially rank your website, to help you rank your website. So Google wants to make sure those fake results aren't showing up on Google. So just be a little mindful, but you don't have to worry anytime Google does its search engine updates. I do hear quite a bit of requests here and there. Hey, Google just did a core update. Should I be worried? Typically you don't have to worry.